One of the places in Japan that was high up on our bucket list and we finally found the time for was a road trip through Hokkaido. Hokkaido is big, beautiful, blew our minds, and I'm so happy that we took a full 9 days to explore almost every corner of it. Since 2016, there is a Shinkansen connection between Tokyo and Shin-Hakodate, so we made use of that and traveled for 4 hours by Shinkansen to Hokkaido. After crossing the Seikan Tunnel, a 53 tunnel connecting Hokkaido with the mainland, we arrived in Hokkaido, picked up our car, and started our 9 days road trip. On our first day, we drove all the way to Cape Kamui, famous for its beautiful cliffs overlooking the ocean. We finally made it to Hokkaido! It took us a 4-hour Shinkansen ride and a 4-hour drive. And we actually wanted to go to this spot over here, Cape Kamui. And you can do like a beautiful hike there on top of the rock formations. But apparently it closes at 5, so we weren't able to enter. So we drove to this spot to enjoy like a beautiful sunset. And we were able to like see the most beautiful sunset over there. And there is like this beautiful rock sticking out of the ocean right there, which makes like everything so magical. It was so beautiful. So eventually we were able to enjoy our first evening in Hokkaido. Sapporo is the largest city in Hokkaido and the 5th largest in Japan, so I wanted to dedicate one day to explore what it has to offer. We went to the Moere Numa Park in the morning, thinking it was probably just another park, but it's not. It's a landscape art paradise where nature meets art. It's a project from the Japanese-American artist and architect Isamu Noguchi, and it's built on top of a former landfill site, surrounded by a marsh, but the harmony between all the shapes and lines he created within the park was so impressive. Between all the man-made things we saw on this trip, we were the most impressed by the Hill of Buddha. Hokkaido is renowned for its fresh fish, so after that we had a bowl of rice topped with sashimi in the middle of the city, and we strolled through Ramen Yokocho, an alley with only ramen shops, to try miso ramen because Sapporo is the birthplace of ramen noodles in miso broth. Day 3 in Hokkaido was Mountain Day in Japan, so as mountain lovers, we just had to climb a mountain that day. It's Mountain Day today, and we're going to climb the Tarumai-san. It's an easy mountain, but the view is beautiful. It's a volcano, by the way. Mount Tarumaya is an active volcano, and if the weather is good, you can get a nice view of the lava dome and the smoking sulfur vents around it. It was so windy around the summit, and we were lucky to get a 10-second glimpse of the dome. See the crater, and now we're going back to the parking lot and we're able to see like Shikotse. It's really beautiful. One other funny thing is that you can really smell the sulfur. Like it smells like hot spring in here. It makes me want to go to the onsen, hot spring.
We already went to onsen.
Yeah, we already went yesterday.
あともうちょっと。
Noboribetse Jigokudani, or Hell's Valley, is part of the same national park, so we stopped by to explore Hell's Valley during the afternoon. So we are now in a town called Noborito, and there are like numerous hot spring hotels there where you can enjoy like hot spring. But behind the town there is like a valley that is called Jigokudani, and here you can find like the source of many hot springs. And for instance, this river is also like hot water. Like it comes from like a hot spring. The fun thing about this valley is that there are like numerous hiking courses throughout like the mountains and the hot springs. So we're just going to explore this area for today. Unfortunately, it was pouring rain, but that also meant that we had the whole trail to ourselves. I especially enjoyed the foot hot spring at the Oyunuma River. It's basically just a free foot bath. The water was about just the right temperature. Bie is probably the place most Japanese people love the most about Hokkaido. The endless landscapes and sceneries of farmland, hills, and flower fields are gorgeous. Takeru couldn't stop taking pictures, and I felt like I was back in Europe. I really enjoyed the roller coaster road, a road running through the fields, going up and down like a roller coaster. We also pulled over at the Blue Pond, which is a byproduct that was born as a result of attempts to control the volcanic mud in the area from reaching the town of Bie. And if you like flowers, make sure you drop by at the Tomita farm. You can see endless flower fields there.
綺麗だね。
I also tried yubari melon, a well-known kind of melon in Hokkaido.
いや。
We were planning on climbing the highest mountain in Hokkaido, which we had to give up because of bad weather around the summit, but we had an amazing day driving northeast towards Shiretoko, one of the most beautiful and unspoiled national parks in Japan, and we explored a few amazing places along the road. We pulled over at this like amazing spot by the road to have lunch, and Takeru bought some deer, which we're baking right now. How is it? Oishii?
なんかハツみたい。
Oh. あ、初めて食べるの？
初めて食べる。
そうなんだ。Our first stop was the Bihorotoge lookout, offering stunning views of Lake Kushado, the largest caldera lake in Japan. And when you dig like a hole in the sand, water from about 40 degrees will like appear, and it was really hot, so we needed to cool down like in the lake. Yeah, この湯熱すぎていられね。Cool down. A short drive from Lake Kushado, you can find Lake Mashu, which was on my Hokkaido bucket list because it's the second clearest lake in the world. During the winter, the visibility is up to 47 meters deep. After a few more hours of driving, we reached the Shiretoko Peninsula. Shidetoko is one of Japan's most unspoiled national parks, and the peninsula is home to a variety of wildlife, including brown bears, deer, and foxes. We decided to go hiking around the Shidetoko 5 Lakes, a set of lakes formed long ago by the eruption of a nearby volcano. Looking from above, they say it looks like 5 fingerprints, and the surrounding area offers amazing views of Shidetoko's unspoiled nature. Apparently the lakes are like a mirror and they're reflecting like the surrounding mountains and everything, but it's so, like the weather is so bad, it suddenly changed and we can't see anything, like we can't see like the surrounding mountains, like it's even hard to tell that this is a lake. So that's a bit sad.
Misty.
Waterfalls, and we're encountering so many deer. It's so much fun to like see them in the wild. There are also many rocks sticking out of the ocean around Shidetoko, and some of them even have stairs so you can climb them. So we climbed the Oronko rock, but I only recommend it if you can stand hundreds of seagulls flying around you. It feels like we left all the tourists behind us on our way to Nemuro. From what I felt, I think this is probably one of the lesser explored parts of Hokkaido, but it was still so stunning. Nemuro is the easternmost town in Japan, and the coastline just looks like an endless cliff overlooking the ocean. We went for a walk through Shun Kunitai, 3 sandbars, 8 kilometers long in total, lying between the Sea of Okhotsk and Lake Furen. Apparently a sandbar this big is quite rare. So we are now at the Shun Kunitai sandbar, and apparently you can see like a lot of wildlife like foxes and maybe bears, so we have to be careful, and deer and a lot of birds. So I hope we can see something. Let's go! So we're now heading towards Akeshi, famous for its oysters, and we both love oysters so much. So we're going to sneak in a little lunch, and I'm so excited. Let's go!
マイケちゃん。はい。
The place we went to looked a little bit old, but the fish was so fresh. I mean, the oysters were so fresh and so delicious. But there are 2 ways I like to enjoy oysters. One is deep fried, which I just had, and a second one is to just enjoy them raw, like in their natural states. And they didn't serve like raw oysters at the place over there. So what we're going to do now is head to a fish market and try to buy some raw oysters there and try them at the fish market. We bought 4. The only thing is that we have to do this by ourselves, and I've never done this before, so let's try. あったあったあった。
お、いった来た来た来た。プロの割り方だな。
Super creamy, no fishy taste. Tastes so fresh, so good. In the afternoon, we drove 4 hours to a spot that was high up Takeru's Hokkaido bucket list, Lake Toyomi, a heart-shaped lake in the middle of the mountains. In order to get there, you have to drive for 30 minutes into the mountains, walk for about 10 minutes, and we didn't encounter a single person. To the point that it was almost scary, because the only thing we could hear were animal sounds coming from the forest surrounding the lake. We were slowly heading back to Hakodate, where we would be taking the Shinkansen to Tokyo the next day. But of course, we had to squeeze in a little hike before heading back to the city. We chose Mount Esan, an active volcano, still belching gas, but it was only 1 hour to the summit, so that wasn't too long. The wind was, however, super strong, which created this amazing misty landscape with gas belching from different places. Final hike of our Hokkaido road trip. It's super windy, but not really cold. You can smell the sulfur.
ここね、ちょっと煙入れてるからね。
Like 2,500 or 3,000 meters. So I'm really surprised to see this at like 500 meters above sea level. The mountain is only about 600-700 meters above sea level, so we almost reached the top.
あ、ここから出てきてんじゃない？今も出てきてる感じはしないけど。18メートル。北海道の桑名市。And now we're going to drive to Hakodate to try its shio ramen, because Hakodate is very famous for shio ramen. Then we usually, after dinner, we try to find a nice hot spring to shower and to enjoy the onsen and everything. And then we drive to a nice spot to spend the night. our room where we spent the last 9 days. It was actually pretty comfortable, and I think it's all because of this mattress that we bought. It's like this very thick air mattress, and it was so comfortable, and it fits perfectly the back of our car. But the good thing about staying in your car during a road trip in Hokkaido is because firstly you can choose your own view to stay at amazing places, and secondly is that you can be super flexible with your plan because Hokkaido is so big. The weather is different in different places, and if the weather suddenly changes somewhere, you can quickly decide to go somewhere else because you don't have any hotel bookings or anything like that. So yeah, I think it was a good idea to do a road trip like this, and I'm super happy about it. It was amazing. It was comfortable, everything was perfect.
We had a few hours to explore Hakodate before we had to catch our Shinkansen, so we went to the morning market to have sushi for breakfast, and we visited a few other spots like Mount Hakodate to have amazing views of the city.
昨日俺たちが泊まった場所、ここら辺。
Hokkaido was larger than expected, so I'm so glad we had 9 days to explore it. Next time, I wish I could go during the winter to enjoy a beautiful winter wonderland covered in snow.